Everyone says they want to live in a more sustainable building, but the reality is that we've just been sold a lie. Wooden cladding or even structure, solar panels and green roofs, that's how we tend to think sustainability really looks, but that's not necessarily sustainable. These are more or less symbols or representations of what sustainability is meant to look like. So I remember when I was doing my specialization in sustainable design 15 years ago, and our tutor would come up to us and ask us to design the language of sustainable design. I really did what many architects did. I looked into tradition, I looked into vernacular architecture, I looked to see how architects that didn't have today's tools responded to the climate they were working within, because they didn't have the crouches we have today. So in a sense, whatever they built either had to be sustainable or incredibly uncomfortable. But in spite of all this search, I couldn't find tomorrow's or today's language of sustainable design. I only came to one conclusion, and that is that sustainable design doesn't wear a uniform. It's not unique. It's not going to be easily identifiable. And it's not meant to be. Because real sustainability is actually invisible. It comes from within the project. Because it's hard to balance how much energy can you actually allocate into building one of these buildings before thinking that the embodied energy that actually went to the construction is too much to justify its performance. So there's a balance. That is why I'm always saying what we need to do is to do better. We don't need to do perfect. We don't have to run simulations to get to the most accurate building possible. Simulations they're good, but if you're building small scale and you're requiring simulations, in most cases I think you're already in trouble. Unless you need to prove a point, because we're not looking into the saving of 1 to 5 kilowatt hours. We're looking into the philosophy behind the building itself. And that is what I am all about. I make videos trying to unravel for you how buildings are meant to work and how we can judge them as sustainable or not, which is, granted, difficult. So I'm not necessarily just judging them by the way they look, though I think that this is another important component for sustainability. Because if what we're designing is big ugly and needs to be torn down, then that is not sustainable either. So the biggest lie in sustainable architecture is the stamp itself, thinking that we can perfume a turd and expecting it to smell good. It's still going to be a piece of shit. We have to think otherwise. So let me frame it some other way. Sustainable architecture is like a good conversation. It listens more than it speaks. It considers its environment. It starts by understanding its climate, its context, the light environment, etc. It asks what kind of comfort the people, the users inside, are actually going to require. It's not just a composition of numbers equating to a net zero. It's not balancing numbers. It's balancing temperature and comfort requirements and allowing for the people to adapt to their own personal requirements. We appear to think that we can have a glass tower and pass it on as sustainable because it produces its own energy, for instance. But that's like saying we're eating healthy because we're ordering a Diet Coke with our Big Mac. That's not sustainable. And that's not healthy either. So what is sustainable? Well, the first thing you have to look at is what are we working with? How is our climate? Is our climate mild? Is our climate complicated? Is it cold? Is it very cold? That for one. Then we also have to see what we want to provide. What is the atmosphere that we're looking for in our building? And that is the beauty of sustainability, because when it's sustainable, it's also smart. It's also in connection with its environment. Even climate deniers will like this sort of approach. I make videos that explore and suggest how buildings really work, or how we can get those buildings to work even better, to perform even better. So by now, if you watched this entire video, you're probably asking yourself, okay, how do I start or get my architect to start working for a more sustainable project for me? Well, you start by analyzing the climate and determining the requirements for comfort. And lucky for you, I do these two things in these two videos that are appearing now in the screen. See you in the next one. ¿Se va a entender algo de lo que digo? Me parece que estoy filosofando demasiado.